Let me explain this.
It's a legislative
audit. Legislative audit will do a special audit if there is a specific reason, like if there was suspicion of theft, or if there was some charges brought that they thought was substantial or could see was substantial or whatever. But they had already really finished 2017 and he didn't find anything, but they went back through it looking for something, which was fun, and found nothing. Found nothing.
Well, I have an announcement to make, and I've waited a really long time to be able to talk about all the things that have transpired over the course of the last year with my involvement with the city of Ozark. Before I start, let me take you back to how this all began. In November of 2017, I decided to go to a city council meeting. I'd only been back in town a few months, and the physical appearance of the city had declined. Widespread poverty. In fact, 1 in 3 people are suffering from poverty in the city of Ozark. Now, I'd personally experienced loss through no fault of my own because of an illness. I tried to relate my story to how the same thing can happen to a city. And what I wanted to convey was that building an indoor swimming pool and government offices before you built up economic security in a community was not being good stewards of our money. It was also apparent that in a town where 35% of the population was living below the poverty line, that this facility simply could not be supported. And the city government got angry at that, and they let that anger carry forward. And it clouded their judgment for the better part of a year. So fast forward a bit. I started investigating the finances of Ozark through Freedom of Information Act requests. Here's the thing. 1 year ago this week, February 2018, I suspected that a crime had been committed. By July of 2018, I had confirmed it. So I started asking all kinds of questions, and I instantly hit a wall of evasiveness and lies. And one of the most interesting things about this is that the information I received did not match the questions that I had asked. So in April, the local newspaper reports that I've made more than 100 FOIA requests. And that was a lie. I later find out that in April of last year that the city government, the local newspaper, Kevin Eveld, the former fire chief, and his wife Sonia Eveld, the clerk, had colluded to create a false narrative. They even worked together to fabricate quotes for this newspaper report. They also misquoted me and misrepresented what I was trying to do. I gotta tell you people, this was a frightening situation. It was like something out of a bad movie. I had 10 people, many of them had been elected to offices, colluding to keep me shut up. You know, how do you explain to somebody that an entire city government is conspiring to silence you and they're using the local newspaper to help them out? This is the kind of thing that you see in communist countries. This isn't something that you see in the United States of America. Why did they do this? But you know, I didn't let them stop me. I kept going and I kept asking questions. But I surprised them. I went around them and I put a video up on YouTube. After decades and decades of acting like royalty, where they controlled the flow of information and they controlled the narrative and they made sure what made it to the paper was what they wanted you to see, not necessarily the truth. They were absolutely stunned that somebody would evade this system and go around them and post a video on YouTube with the truth. When they responded to my video, it was completely the inappropriate response. You see, in any other organization, or even any city government for that matter, if leadership became aware of the kind of spending that was presented to the Ozark City Council, they would have been angry at the person doing the spending. But they were just so angry that somebody that they didn't like had let this little secret out that they rationalized all of his actions and they covered for people that were involved with wrongdoing. They did their dead level best to convince you that everything I talked about in that first video was false. At this emergency meeting, Ms. Holman told you that everything in that first video I had put out was just misleading. And Roxy Hall announced to the room that I had called the city council names. And the mayor threatened to have me removed from the room. They let Kevin Eveld and his wife put on a dog and pony show for over an hour. One straw man argument after another, designed to make him look like a shining white knight and to make me look like I had some sort of axe to grind. And the city council helped them out. And this was all done to deflect all of this away from him and to try to make me look like a crazy person. At the emergency meeting in June about my video, just to cover their tails, they request a special audit. And later on, the clerk straight up lied at a city council meeting and said the audit was complete and that they found nothing. And it gets even better. The local newspaper expanded on the clerk's lie and completely fabricated a story about a completed audit. When the audit was finally completed and the results were released, the newspaper basically said that it was all just a big misunderstanding. They even let the clerk issue a statement, and she said they couldn't be more pleased with the audit's result. The problem with this is none of that is true. In fact, the auditors referred this to the prosecutor's office. What was clear to me and anyone else with walking around sense is the audit showed that there was misappropriation of funds, there was missing receipts, there was illegal payments, there was personal purchases, and there was downright theft. You know, I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I think that they saw me as a threat. They didn't like me. They saw me as an outsider, someone that was meddling into something that they thought they alone controlled. Because you see, for decades, Ozark City Government has operated with no transparency and little to no accountability. And just asking, how much money are you spending? That's all I ever wanted to know. How much money are you spending? And that upsets status quo. And this all started because I made a statement about the decline of the town, and it made them angry, and they held on to that anger all the way to the end. The very first things I got returned through FOIA, I took to Susan Holman's office because I thought the city might be doing something illegal. And she said, I don't share your concerns, and she dismissed it, and it ended there. This could have all been cleared up a year ago. You know, back in April, I took Roxy Hall and Rex Anderson a mountain of documents, and I couldn't understand why they weren't doing anything. Why were they dragging their feet? And it wouldn't be until June when I discovered that they had had this meeting back in April to basically keep me shut up, to give me just enough information to keep from breaking the law, but not enough information that it might get somebody else interested in the findings. And all of this could have been cleared up a year ago, at least back in May. People should have been fired. The prosecutor should have been called. Instead, they just didn't like me, so they tried to make me the enemy. It was wrong. What they did to me was wrong. What they did to you was wrong. And I've been vindicated by what the auditors found. You know, for the better part of a year, your alderman covered for people. Well, over the next 4 or 5 months, we're going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to see the truth come out. Because this is what I have to tell you. The state police have been called in to investigate. We're not going to hear anything about this because open investigations aren't discussed. Which takes us back to October when Mayor McNutt and Clerk Eveld were telling you that they had discussed the audit with the auditors, and the auditors had told them everything's fine. I knew then that that was a lie, and now we can confirm it was a lie. Because see, auditors, investigators, prosecutors don't talk about open cases. They simply made all that up just to deceive you. Now, while we may not know what the investigators are looking into, I can tell you that I've got all kinds of things that I can now share. You know, there were several times I could have presented information to the public that might have boosted me in the election. And I chose not to do it because I didn't want to mess up an investigation. You know what? It wasn't a difficult decision to make. Doing the right thing is the right thing. You know, this is an interesting story, and now that the prosecutors got the documents and information that I've turned over to them, and that the state police are involved in an active investigation with the City of Ozark's finances, I'll be able to tell you the story from start to finish. It's kind of an interesting thing. So subscribe to this channel, and after you subscribe, hit that bell icon so that you'll get a notification every time I post new content. As I said, the big news is the state police are investigating here in Ozark. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment below, and I'll see you real soon with another video. Thank you.